everyone. Uh, yeah, let us see. As today is a wonderful day, 8th August. In fact, Gandhiji tried to start that one. He has declared three wars without any weapon against the Britishers. The first one, 1920, non-cooperation movement. Second one, 1930, civil disobedience. 1942, the third one, that is none other than Quit India movement. So today is the date, 28th August 1942. Gandhiji, in fact, declared the Quit India movement. So what was the background behind that? What made Gandhiji to give a slogan to the Britishers that you have to quit India? So what was the reason behind that? Let us know that first of all. So in fact, in 1942, okay, if I am correct, 1942, the Second World War was going on, which was started in 1939 and it continued till 1945. By the time one of the greatest country, Asiatic country, belongs to Asia, okay, under the leadership of Tanaka. If I'm not wrong, Tanaka was the leader of Japan. Japan emerged into a great power by that time between end of first world war to beginning of second world war. If you'll see the rise of any country tremendously grew into power was none other than Japan, Asiatic country. So Japan emerged into a superpower. Even before the second world war, Japan forced America to join the second world war. Otherwise America had no intention to join in the second world war. It was the Japan who attacked the Pearl Harbor, that all we'll discuss later on, and that made America to join Second World War. So that type of powerful country was Japan by that time. In one hand, that Japan was going on. Japan next during this time, what happened? Even Hitler and all this, they were in one great power. Okay, so in the meantime, what happened? Japan even started to occupy Asian countries. It was Indonesia, which was under the control of the European country, or we can say that is none other than the Vietnam, which was under the control of France. One by one, European controlled countries, Japan captured from that. It was Vietnam under the France, Indonesia under the Dutch. Okay, finally, Japan reached the Burma, neighbor Myanmar, present Myanmar or Burma. When Japan came to Myanmar or nearby neighbor country, it was a great shock for Gandhiji. He was a great man. He was a statesman. He had a great vision. He able to realize that next target of Japan must be India. Then he warned the people of India, yeah, next target of Japan may be India. Oh, of course, India is not the enemy of Japan. We know that. Japan will not attack on the Indians, but Japan may attack because of India is the colony of England. So to take revenge against England, next target may be India. With that intention, how great that personality. That's why that Gandhian philosophy, that's why the Gandhian attitude till today we able to recognize. That was the vision of Gandhiji. That was the forecast of Gandhiji. How nicely he visualized the intention of Japan. With that intention, now Japan declare, oh, Britishers, this is the problem, we are going to get it. If you won't quit now India, next victim of Japan may be India. So now we have to double task as like Vietnam. We have to struggle to get independent from England, on the other hand from Japan. With that intention, Gandhiji gave the slogan of Quit India. Before declaration and all this, British also feared. British know the intention of. I hope it is clear, everyone, children. I hope it is audible. Okay, so before declaration, the intention of Gandhiji, the popularity of Gandhiji, everyone, the British government know well. That's why the British government sent the Stafford Cripps to make a settlement with Gandhi, but everything failed. Gandhi didn't agree with that offer and all this. Yes, finally, Gandhiji declared that 8th August, this is the date today, 8th August 1942, we are going to declare the Quit India movement. But unfortunately, because of the popularity of Gandhiji, the British government arrested all the frontline leaders on 8th August. As a result, there was no leaders So the next day, it was scheduled on 8th August, but as British government arrested everyone on 8th August, so no alternate. So the all the Indians, the leftover Indian individual satyagraha, they started the individual satyagraha. For your kind information, this is a movement in India which was leaderless movement. There was no leader to lead them because the frontline leaders, everyone they arrested, they were kept in the jail. As a result, Gandhiji from the jail, as he has to guide the people, he has to guide the nationalist, he has to encourage them. For that purpose, within the jail, Gandhiji gave a nice slogan during this Quit India movement. Oh, dear Indians, it is the time. You have to do something. It is an opportunity. You have to contribute something for your motherland. And he encouraged them. This is the time. Do something for your country. Otherwise, die for your country, which is popularly called as Karo Ya Maro. Do or die. This is the slogan Gandhiji to encourage the people started and gave from the jail, and that encouraged a lot. It was a very good slogan encouraging, and that Quit India movement which was started in 1942, it continued for a long time. Finally in 1945 till it was going on, because the World War One was there. The British was engaged in the World War One. They unable to take any strong decision to suppress that, and mass movement, mass agitation. Every individual became a satyagrahi. Every individual became a leader by that time. Leaderless movement. So this is how it continued till 1945. Finally, after the end of the Japan, we know that what was the condition of the Japan, that Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, tomorrow the date 6th August and the 9th August 1945. How Japan lost that Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like that, seven more attacks America planned to surrender Japan, but unfortunately, whatever it may be, Japan surrendered to the America, allied power, we can say. Okay, then the war came into end. After the end of the war, Gandhiji and other people, they released, and then the independent movement further started. Okay, this is the importance of today, that is the 8th August, the beginning of Quit India movement. And after this Quit India movement, we can say one of the greatest landmark for getting independent, because it proved that Gandhi, if there is no Gandhi also, common man, every individual became a Gandhi. So that the lesson given to the British government by this movement, and it had a great landmark. And finally, 1945, the war came into end, and 1946, cabinet mission. Then 1947, we got independence. That all part we are going to continue in the last phase. I hope you have understood this. This is what Quit India movement. Basically, children, as we are having the history three parts, today I plan to start ancient civilization, ancient India. Am I able to audible? May I know the students first of all? Mr. Yeah.
You have Vishnu Kumar?
Yeah, ma'am. Vishnu, yeah. Sneha, someone I able to say? Yeah. Okay, ma'am. And Padma, I think.
Yes. Padma.
Okay. Welcome.
Padma and Pearly are appearing this year, sir. So.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you people able to listen me, understand me, children. It's better not children, sirs. Okay, sir and ma'am, I hope you people are understanding. If any doubt, anything, you can raise. Let us start the in nationalism, Indian history. If you'll see this chapter, we are having, three parts. One is the ancient India, medieval period, modern period. Before going to in depth, let us know how and why we have divided this Indian history into three parts. Very simply, I will say, I won't take much time for that. Ancient civilization. Yeah, for your kind information, whatever we read earlier, AD and BC, I hope you know what is Anno Domini and before Christ. Now, for your kind information, that terms were changed. Now it is called as Common Era. AD is called as Common Era, CE, only CE. Okay, so I will use the term CE, Common Era, and BC is called as Before Common Era. Remain all things. I hope you know that. In course of time, we'll discuss that all the time. Let us know the ancient period. what is in Indian ancient period? Now it is 2021. If this dating have started, I hope you people know this one, but it is the baseline for the Indian history. History means this should be this is must to know. Zero. We started the dating after the Jesus birth of Jesus. If Jesus would have alive, then he would have been 21 years old. So that is considered as a zero. Before birth of Jesus, that period is called as BCE, before Common Era. And 02 till now, 2021 is called as 2021 Common Era. Now it is AD. Generally, we read in ancient book as the AD, and that AD now it is called as the Common Era, CE. Okay, so if you'll go to the Indian history is as ancient as different type of other ancient history like Mesopotamia or the Greek or the yeah, that is another than Chinese or Huang Ho or all almost all the world's ancient history is equal, and India is contemporary of that world ancient history. In India, the most ancient Indian history we are considering so far is none other than Indus Valley civilization, which is popularly called as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization. This Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization existed near about 3,500 BCE, before Common Era, which is called as okay, before Common Era. So now, what is the total age of this Harappa civilization? That was 3,500 BCE plus present 2021 years. So near about 5,500 years history we have. That is the credit for Indian history. Okay. Anyhow, 3,500 BC, we are going to discuss in detail what is the Harappa civilization, site, location, everything we are going to, that is part of our syllabus that we are going to discuss. This is as introduction. After this Harappa, we have another great civilization in India. So many causes, what was the reason for destruction of the Harappa, that all we are going to cover in that chapter. After the Harappa civilization, we had another great civilization that was popularly called as Vedic civilization or Aryan civilization. Both Vedic and Aryan one and same. Okay, Vedic civilization, why it was called Vedic civilization? Because during this time, we able to find so many development in Indian literature. Okay, for example, that the epics, the Vedas, Rig Vedas, Yajur Vedas, Sam Veda, Atharva Veda, Aranyakas. Okay, next Brahmanyas. So, so many things we able to yeah, create during this time, and based upon that, it was called as a Vedic civilization. The two great epics, of course, Ramayana and Mahabharata, also the part of this Vedic civilization that we are going to discuss. In course of time, after the Vedic civilization, gradually we started another 6th century BC. During the 6th century BC, we able to see the great Shodosa Mahajanapadas, great Mahajanapadas by that time. And by that time only, we had another two great religious movement in India. I hope you know that during the 6th century BC, they were none other than the Buddhism and the Jainism. They both the religion are the contemporary. Even when in India, that was Buddhism and Jainism. In China by that time, we able to see Confucianism and Taoism. So that is another great religion in China. Both all these four religion are the contemporary by that time, 6th century BC. That also we are going to discuss. That is also in our chapter BC, 6th century BC. After the 6th century BC, we are having 3rd century. By that time, yeah, we are gradually coming towards 2021. Okay, Indus Valley, first we saw Indus Valley civilization, then Vedic civilization. This is only introduction. In detail, we are going to discuss. After that, the yeah, 6th century BC, now 3rd century BC. During this 3rd century BC, another great landmark for Indian history. I hope you know that. During this period, Alexander the Great, who has migrated from that Greek, and he wanted to be the world conqueror, and he came to India. By that time in India, Ambi, Porus, and that all we are going to discuss. And during that time, we able to see another great civil, empire in India for the first time. One of the great Indian empire we able to get for the first time. Earlier, we had the monarch, small kingdoms they were, but emperor we able to get, and that emperor was none other than the Mauryan dynasty under Chandragupta Maurya, Asoka, Bindusara, that Chanakya, Kautilya, that all we are going to discuss. After this, Asoka, it was continued till first century BC. Then after the first century BC, we have the Kushana dynasty. Then we enter to the CE, Common Era, or which is called as AD. After the Kushan, Kanishka, Gupta dynasty. Gupta dynasty is in the first century AD. Okay, we reached to the AD or Common Era. That is one of the greatest achievement. And Gupta, all the Gupta, Samudragupta, Vikramaditya, like that, so on. After the Gupta, it is continued. By that time, small kingdoms also we able to see in South India, in North India, that is Rashtrakutas, Pandyas, and that all we are going to cover in that part. And after that, the last dynasty was none other than Harshavardhan, Pusyavati dynasty. Yeah, children. So if you'll see, 3500 BC to 712 AD. Okay, this entire period, only 712 AD. Why 712 AD? Yeah, last united ruler of India, or in other word, we can say India lost its identity during ancient period is with the death of Harshavardhan the Great. Harshavardhan died in 646 AD. He was the master of entire India. India means not present India. By that time, that is none other than Sindh province, Baluchistan, Afghanistan. Is before British, what was the India? That was the India. He ruled that. After his death, no other such ruler we able to find in India. And because of his death, for the first time we able to see the invasion of Arabs. And the first Arab invasion we able to mark in 712 AD. So, dear children, 3500 BCE to 712 AD. This entire period is considered as a ancient period. And whatever happened during this period, we are going to discuss in the first part. That is our first, part one syllabus, ancient India. Next, I'm going to the medieval period. I hope you are understanding, noting down that all. Medieval period, we can divide into two parts. In the medieval period, we are having one is the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal period. 712 AD, I told. What is 712 AD? For the first time, the Arab invasion to India, Sindh. By that time it was called as Sindh, Arab invasion of Sindh. It started. Immediately they unable to conquer India. It took a lot of time. Finally, Ghoris, Ghaznis, and all these they came. Finally, 1191 and 92. 1191 and 1192, there was two wars, Battle of Tarayan, one, and Battle of Tarayan. Somewhere you will get Battle of Tirori also. So in that Battle of Tarayan or Battle of Tirori, Prithviraj Chauhan, Muhammad Ghori, they met each other, and that was the war in which, for the first time, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated, and Muhammad of Ghori, Ghor dynasty. He came from that Mongolia, side by Mongolia and all this. So that Muhammad Ghori became the ruler of India. And India, in the sense, he confined to Delhi. After Ghori, his slave, Qutbuddin Aibak. After Qutbuddin Aibak, his slave, Iltutmish. After Iltutmish, Rajia Sultan. And like that, 5 dynasties we able to witness in Delhi. Then the Tughlaq dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Saidi dynasty, and last one was the Iltutmish. That is when Babur came. By that time, that is none other than the last dynasty they ruled. And so 1526 they continued. 1100 91, Battle of Charai or Tirori to 1526, the first Battle of Panipat, Ibrahim Lodi versus Babur. So when Babur came in 1526, the last Lodi dynasty, Ibrahim Lodi. I hope your this is only introduction. These all detail we are discussing. I am just classifying Indian history for your convenience. Which part is called as ancient, which is medieval. I divided medieval into two parts. Till now, whatever we discussed, that Muhammad Ghori, then the slave dynasty, next the Khilji dynasty, Lodi dynasty, and this is another Ibrahim Lodi. So these all are confined within Delhi. Beyond Delhi, they are unable to expand their power to other part of India. That's why that was called as Delhi Sultanate. Sultan or the Sultan, they were the Muslim rulers. In Muslim, Hindi, they are called as Sultan. That's why, as they confined to Delhi, that's why it was called as Delhi Sultanate. After 1526, as I told you, one ruler from the Chagatai Babur, who came from Mongolia, as he came from Mongolia, between China and India, we have that Mongolia. As he came from Mongolia, that's why he was called as Mongol, different names in India. Okay, Babur. Babur came to India 1526, then 27 Chanderi, 28 Chausa, and Ghagra, like that 4 wars only he fought. He unable to rule India. Then, but in that 4 years, 1526 to 1530, he fought 4 battles, and he was the founder of Mughal Empire in India. And that Mughal Empire continued till 1756. 1756-57. Okay, so during that, remain all this, we are going to discuss about Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Aurangzeb, Shahjahan, so on. We are going to continue this 200 years, more than 200 years, 1526 to 1756-57. Siraj-ud-Dowla was the last ruler, we can say. And while Siraj-ud-Dowla, so this period is called as a Mughal dynasty, Mughal empire. So as I told you, medieval period is two part. First one, 712 AD to 1526, we can consider. You can write also 712 AD to, or which is called as the Common Era, CE to 1526 CE. It is called as Delhi Sultanate. 1526 to 1757, it is called as Mughal period. So medieval period in India, we can divide into two parts. In detail, we are going to cover in our chapter that is there in our syllabus. Okay, children. Next, 1757. 1756, 57, what happened? Okay, during this time, when Siraj-ud-Dowla was the ruler of, by that time they shifted the capital from Delhi to here, Bengal and all this Calcutta. By that time, there was a Battle of Plassey. Robert Clive. Who was Robert Clive? During Jahangir's time, Sir Thomas Roe, who came to India, took the permission. I hope you people listening, who came to India, took permission from Jahangir to keep the trade relation with India. So East India Company, today if you give the term as a multinational company, by that time it was the multinational company, East India Company. It took the permission from Jahangir in 1600 AD. Or you can say CE, and it established its trade relation. But unfortunate to India, that East India Company, which came to India as a trader, they took the opportunity, they got the facility due to lack of paramount power, no unity and all this. And those traders became the rulers of India in 1757, Battle of Plassey. 1757, 1764, two decisive battles, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, they fought and they became the rulers of India. East India Company. And this East India Company ruled India 1757 to 1857. So we reach the modern Indian history, 1757 to 1857. This 100-year India ruled by the East India Company, not Britishers. East India Company was a trader. As like present multinational company, how they are coming. By that time, that was one of the multinational company. It came to keep trade relation with India. But unfortunate to Indians, that trade company became the ruler. Okay, children. So they ruled 100 years. And after exactly after Robert Clive, Wellesley, William Wendick, Dalhousie, these are the representatives who sent by the East India Company, and that East India Company had a great contribution. Of course, we can't ignore that. That all we are going to discuss. And after that, exactly 100 year, 1857, we Indians fought against the East India Company in the name of first war of independence, or Indian, according to Indian, that was called as the first war of independence. But Britishers, they told no, 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 it's not like that. It is simply few sepoys who were working under our company, and they were revolted. Mangal Pandey, you might have known about the great name, that contribution, and that incident popularly called as a great sepoy mutiny or the first war of independence. After this first war of independence, 1857, India transfer its power from East India Company to British Crown. British Crown, they passed one Act 1858, and in that Act of 1858, the Indian Government India Act of 1858, they are ruled by the British Crown, and that British Crown continued till 1947. So till modern period we entered 1757 to we entered to the modern period, children. 1757 to 1857, I told you, East India Company. 1857, when we made the revolt. 1857 to 1885. This is the period most important landmark in Indian history. This is the period when the Indians able to get the national consciousness belonging to my country, my people. Children, that feeling, Harshavardhan, I told you, 646 CE, that united ruler who ruled entire India and died. After his death, no ruler able to make in India under single administration. That credit once again goes to the British. That's why sometimes we are telling the British rule in India is called as blessing in disguise. They hated India, they disliked India, they looted India, they exploited India, but they had a great contribution to create some development and the national consciousness. Yes, children. So 1857, after the war of independence to 1885, that is the period when we Indians able to get the national consciousness. What is this national consciousness? The feeling of belonging to my country, my people. Then where it went? Yeah, after the death of Harshavardhan, as I told you, India divided into several smaller fragments like the Cholas, Chalukya, Kakatiya, Hoysala, Rashtrakuta, Dwarasamudras, Pandyas, what not. So many divisions we divided India. After division of all this, with that division, we lost our independent, the identity also. We also, decreased our sense of nationalism. We felt that no, India is not country. India is not our motherland. We belongs to Pandya. Pandya is our country. Our broad nationalism minimized with the division of the country, children. Once again, during this British rule in India, we able to inculcate the feeling of, oh no, we all belongs to the bigger land mass, that is the India, and India is our motherland. The British, they came, they were ruling us forcefully. Now we have to get in such type of feeling we able to get during this period, 1857 to 1885. And during this time, we made so many associations. And by that time, young leaders like you, children, they became the frontline leaders. They educated English. They learned themselves English. They were, of course, Indian by birth, but British or the foreign. They read the Machiavelli. They read the Rousseau, Voltaire, all the Western ideas. They able to, get into their mind, and they became the source of inspiration to make Indian nationalism. Of course, they made some organizations. We are going to discuss all this, but unfortunately, these organizations were not recognized by the. I think 4 minutes are there. I'm completing very fast. Those organizations were not recognized by the British government. By that time, one Britisher, he was from Ireland, A.O. Hume, Alien Octavian Hume, the person who had a great sympathy to the Indians. He convinced the people, you are making the organization, but unfortunately, no single organization is recognized by the British. You do one thing, you make one organization, get the recognition from the British. As a result, with his inspiration, we created one organization that we created on with 72 people by that time. They met on 29th December 1885. I'm telling here 1885, right? So 1885, 29th December, 72 delegates under the leadership of Umesh Chandra Banerjee met at Bombay by that time Bombay, and then they started the organization, and that organization till today recognized by the British government, and till today that organization is working. I hope you know that that is none other than Indian National Congress. So they made one official organization, Indian National Congress. 3 minutes left over. Let me complete first. So now, 1885, we made a great achievement. Now, 1885 to 1947, we can divide. This is, we are under modern period. We can divide this freedom struggle. We entered to the freedom struggle already. So 1885 to 1906 or 7, we can make as a moderate. The Indian National Congress divided into moderate period. By that time, some moderate leaders, Dadabhai Naroji, Badruddin Taibji, Umesh Chandra Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, very young, old concept leaders, okay, moderates, very simple methods. They continued all these. Okay, they were the leaders. That's why it was called as moderates. In detail, we will discuss. After that, there was a Bengal division. Lord Curzon came. He made the division of Bengal. 1905, he declared. 1906, it was implemented. By this division of Bengal, some of the young leaders, they didn't tolerate. They wanted, how can that Bengal be divided? Divide and rule policy was the British government, they applied that. But the young leaders, Lal Bal Pal, Lala Laspati Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Khudiram Bose, Aurobindo Ghosh, Prafullo Chaki, Saifuddin Kichlu, what not, young leaders, they opposed that. And that period, 1907 to 1919, we can consider that period as the extremist, young blood leaders. 1919, they had so many contributions. We'll discuss in detail. 1919 to 1947, just 1 minute left over, children. I'm concluding. 1919 to 1947, the Indian freedom struggle dominated by one person, 3 wars, 2 principles. Man was none other than, I hope you know that, Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. 3 wars I told you: non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, quit India movement. Weapons I told you, simple weapons. They were none other than Satyagraha and Ahimsa. Finally, in 1947, we got independent, and this is what our entire ancient India from 3500 BC to 1947, we divided this into 3 parts. Few seconds left over. So ancient India 3500 to 712 AD, children. We are going to cover that first. Second one, 712 AD to, as I told you, 1757 medieval period, 2 parts, Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal period. And last part we are going to complete 1757 to 1947, 190 years. How first part was the moderate period, extremist period, and the Gandhi era. So this is entire India which we are going to cover in course of time. Yeah, one small few seconds left over, I think, ma'am. This is only introduction.
Join again, sir. If you want to summarize it, you can join again.
Summarization for the time being, it is completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, summarization with this completed.
Okay.
Next, directly we'll go to the syllabus.
Okay, sir.
You please
Okay,
carry on for another 10 minutes. You please carry on for another 10 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, time, ma'am?
Join once again, sir. Same meeting ID.
Okay.
Same meeting.
Okay, ma'am. Let us continue.